What's up, everybody? Kong Spideyzilla back with another video, and tonight I'm going to be discussing my third fan crossover idea, and that is Batman vs. Godzilla. So I'm continuing down my quadrilogy of Godzilla fan crossovers / fan stories. And the next one up on my list is Batman vs. Godzilla. So, warning, this art on the screen is not owned by me. It is by Algiark or Algiark on Deviantart. Algiark. Algiark or Algiark. Sorry if I'm not saying your name wrong, or it's Algiark. So, shout out to Algiark on DeviantArt. I'll also put his name in the description. Check him out on DeviantArt. So I'm going to try to cut to the chase with this one. The ground rules, I already laid them out. Remember, these are like my imaginary versions of the character. The characters basically used for this fan crossover universe, where they're kind of like certain timelines combined into one, creating its own original timeline. Like, basically, these are my imaginary versions of the characters. This is my imaginary crossover universe featuring these characters. I already talked about it in my Godzilla vs. Bowser fan story. I already talked about it in my Godzilla vs. Hulk fan story. So without further ado, let's begin. This is Batman vs. Godzilla. The story begins with Batman having a normal day in the life in Gotham City, looking out for trouble, and, his life as Bruce Wayne, the billionaire. However, two villains that are active at the moment is the Joker and the Penguin. Batman's pretty much two of his most popular arch rivals. They are pretty much the two villains that are the most active right now, and other Batman villains are mostly contained, held up in Arkham Asylum. The two on the loose right now, and the most active ones, is the Penguin and the Joker. The Penguin and the Joker are trying to come up with some type of unique plan to get rid of Batman or take him down for good. But Penguin and Joker have some type of bit different goals with Batman. See, the Joker really likes just to mess with Batman. He is obsessed with him. And he gets this feeling that Batman isn't taking him as seriously as he wants him to be, and the Joker is just a crazy lunatic. He's crazy and insane. And he also wants attention from Batman. Batman and Joker, hands down, just have a complicated, strange relationship. Meanwhile, the Penguin is the one that's actually really looking forward to actually destroying the Batman for good. Finally, they come up with a plan and manage to, maybe we can get, take it to the next level. We can somehow, make a monster destroy Gotham City. And they get their plan, they roll with it, and they want to use a powerful, destructive monster. So they search up these monsters, known as kaiju. And, cool references to the Godzilla and King Kong franchises. King Kong's there, popular Godzilla monsters are there like Anguirus, Rodan, Mothra, and even the villain kaiju such as King Ghidorah and Gigan, and also even man-made kaiju such as Mechagodzilla. And of course, they find out about the king of the monsters himself, Godzilla. If you're questioning about the King Kong thing, this is in this imaginary crossover universe of mine. I wanted to have it where King Kong was his normal self, typical normal Beauty and the Beast story happened, Skull Island, and then the New York tragedy happened, and in some universe, Kong was resurrected by, like in this imaginary crossover universe of mine, Kong was resurrected by radiation by the U.S. government that took him in, his corpse in secretly, and it goes on, and Kong eventually got mutated to kaiju size, and Skull Island also kind of got hit with nuclear radiation, a wave of nuclear radiation because of the bombings. We could say probably in World War II. And years later, he ended up, Kaiju Kong. Now that's King Kong in this universe. And he ended up fighting Godzilla. So I just wanted to clear that up if you guys had any questions about that. Back to the story. Of course, they found out about Godzilla himself, and they find out that Godzilla is the most active monster right now, the most active kaiju in the world right now. And there are already reports that he's destroyed a couple cities in Japan, like really not that long ago, like a little bit or a little while ago. Then they really dive deep into Godzilla, discovering even a bit of his origins and where he's from. And they end up really learning about Godzilla. And then they find out that Godzilla is actually lured by bright lights and the sounds of birds. And if you're questioning, what the heck, what are you talking about? Like, does this connect anything? Well, yes. If I remember correctly, in Godzilla Raids Again, they stated that Godzilla actually doesn't like certain bright lights because they hint that it reminds him of the nuclear bomb testings. And in Return of Godzilla, they stated that, if I remember correctly, they stated that Godzilla is attracted by the sounds of birds. So what happens is that this gives Penguin the idea to actually lure Godzilla with the different amount of birds he has. And I remember correctly in the Batman, universe, I'm pretty sure Penguin does have, like, bird minions, and his main goons can be penguins, which I believed might be tamed by him. I'm not sure. I'm probably really wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure somewhere. Obviously, I'm getting the idea from Batman Returns. And hey, this is my imaginary crossover universe, so I can go with that. But the Penguin also puts these powerful sound devices on the birds so they can really echo loudly. Like somehow he manages to do it, and he trains the birds and he sends them to Japan. The Penguin also manages to kind of mind control them a bit with some type of device of his, and the Penguin uses the birds, and they fly around the ocean of Japan, and then Godzilla hears it, and then he follows them. This manages to lure Godzilla due to the high sound frequency that from the technology the Penguin put on the birds, and the Penguin is kind of mind controlling them a bit. He's basically luring Godzilla all the way to Gotham. And the Joker gets ready to hook up lights, very big lights around Gotham, and he somehow manages to do it secretively. The Joker activates the big lights at night in Gotham, and next thing you know, finally Godzilla makes it there, and he is attracted by the bright lights and the sounds of the birds, and it lures him to Gotham City. Godzilla is a bit confused, and he kind of doesn't know where he is a little bit, but it's another city, so out of control and enraged, plenty of times, he destroys Gotham. He really starts wrecking Gotham up and messing it up, obviously destroying buildings. Basically, Godzilla, what he does best besides fighting another monster. Then, obviously, Batman catches on to this very quickly. He gets alerted very fast. Batman, he doesn't know what to do about this, and at least at the moment, he can be kind of a man that's kind of prepared for almost any situation, but he wasn't really full on prepared 100% for this situation. But it's his city, and he wants to protect the innocent lives in Gotham. And from the breaking news footage, he sees that, Godzilla, how destructive his power is. He has to get down there and, take action. Batman gets the best prepared he can, and he puts on a very super strong, tough armor, and he is going to really get prepared. He's going to get a bunch of bombs that he has in his arsenal, use whatever gadgets he can do with basically, all the might he has, and he's going to use two vehicles, the Batmobile and, his flight vehicle. I'm pretty sure it's just called the Bat. Batman takes action, and very short into the story, not very long. Godzilla and Batman have their first fight. Batman tries to go all out, trying his best and just trying to go all out on Godzilla. He's landing bombs on him. The Batmobile is kind of being controlled by Alfred, so he's getting a little help from Alfred a little bit, blasting Godzilla down in the leg area. Batman is controlling, his flight vehicle, the Bat, in the sky, and he's basically taking on Godzilla fighter jet style. But as you expect, this is Godzilla, this is the big G. Therefore, it's not going to do jack poop to Godzilla. Batman does nothing but annoy Goji in this first encounter. Eventually, Godzilla blasts his flight vehicle out of the sky. Batman escapes from his doom, and then he gets in the Batmobile and tries to take on Godzilla that way. Godzilla also eventually takes out the Batmobile, and Batman actually tries to take on Godzilla on foot. Surprisingly, Batman manages to do pretty okay on foot, but of course that doesn't last, long. Eventually, Godzilla catches on, is like, is this strange, skilled-looking human trying to pick a fight with me? Ha, lol. That's basically kind of what he is like. He doesn't really... Obviously, he's not going to take Batman seriously. And almost effortlessly, with a powerful move of the atomic breath, Batman manages to barely escape, but unfortunately, he gets injured badly by debris. And that's all it takes for Godzilla to officially win this first matchup between them. Batman didn't stand a chance against the King of the Monsters this first round. Batman loses this first encounter, and Godzilla wins this first encounter. Round 1 goes to Godzilla in this story. Batman came a little prepared, and apparently his suit manages to be immune to the radiation that Godzilla carries, and Godzilla wreaks havoc in Gotham a bit more, and eventually he he ends up losing interest and starts his trip back to the ocean of Japan. Batman is injured, he needs to recover in bed. Bruce Wayne is badly injured, and it's going to take a good long while to heal from his wounds, but eventually he's going to heal up pretty quickly. The military army of Japan and Global Defense Force, and our typical human Godzilla characters that we see in the Godzilla movies, they catch on and they're like wondering like what the heck is going on there, and then they heard of the news that Godzilla attacks Gotham City in New Jersey. And this was one of the things that Japan kind of feared, is that they had a fear that Godzilla was going to take interest in other cities and making them his personal playground of, wreaking havoc. Like, they want to come up with a plan to really stop Godzilla, but they just don't know how to because, their plans in the past, they failed plenty of times. And even the US Army gets a hold of them and like, hey, your giant monster is wrecking our cities over here, like what's going on? And of course, this is the cause of the Penguin and the Joker. Godzilla in this story, definitely a neutral character, like the previous stories, and that's how I see Godzilla, Toho Godzilla at least, the Joker and the Penguin, the true villains here. Nobody exactly knows yet, but eventually Batman, most likely the one, is going to find out. Penguin and the Joker decide to have a little too much fun, and they go a little crazy with this plan of theirs, and they end up luring Godzilla with the birds to other cities, such as San Francisco, and he kind of ends up wreaking havoc a bit in other countries. A couple other, popular locations. And like, if you're wondering, like, oh, what about the Justice League? What about Superman? Like, well, Havoc here, they're kind of dealing with their own problems somewhere, and Batman here is on his own. So Bruce Wayne, while recovering, decides to, do the typical Batman preparation thing. He does some detective work on Godzilla, uses his great detective skills to his advantage to find out about Godzilla. And on the news, it's kind of reported that Batman actually tried to fight Godzilla, and Japan wants to form some kind of alliance with the US Army. I'll have Vicky Vale in the story, why not? We could say this is a moment where Catwoman is a little absent. In this story, at least, and maybe a certain event, and plenty of Batman villains, and other characters are a little absent. The Penguin and the Joker and Batman themselves are the most active characters at this moment. And she's doing reporting work on Godzilla, and the fact that Batman tried to fight Godzilla, it's all over the news. Not only Japan, the Japan military and Global Defense Force wants to get in touch and team up with the US Army, but they also both want to get in touch with Batman. They get the idea that they feel like maybe he just might be their key person to finally defeat the King of the Monsters. And they have a deep feeling that Batman managed to survive his encounter. So that is when, plans in Gotham are made, and they try everything to contact Batman. Batman likes to remain secretive, but, the world is kind of important right now, and Gotham, especially Gotham as well. Batman never reveals his secret identity, obviously, and we're at a time here where the Batman here is seen as a good guy. He is now acknowledged as a hero, nobody suspicious, somebody that is only an enemy and, a scary, horrifying threat to criminals. Batman, like the Penguin and the Joker, also find out about Godzilla, about how he allied and fought with other monsters, and how you know the thing about Godzilla. Like on the one of the reports on Godzilla, destroyer of Japan or savior of Japan, acknowledging that Godzilla saved the world plenty of times too, but also has acted a major threat to Japan. And that is when he reads deeper into Godzilla's backstory and finds out that the incident in 1954, when the first Godzilla was killed in 1954, Sarazawa, the oxygen destroyer, etc., and he finds out that the oxygen destroyer cannot be used because Sarazawa, he died, in that situation, and they found out that he burned his paperwork, his evidence was destroyed, and people come up with the theory that Sarazawa did this for the greater good, as he didn't want, the oxygen destroyer being a powerful weapon end up in the wrong hands of a certain bad side of mankind. Batman thinks about this and he really acknowledges the scenario, and that maybe there's a chance that Batman could build some type of like a weapon related to the oxygen destroyer, but he understand the theories about Sarazawa, and he really thought about it, and that it's not worth doing. And he acknowledges that mankind can have kind of a dark side, and possibly that can be used for horrible acts. Some typical conversations here and there, and more scenes pass on, and eventually the military meets up with Batman. Remember, I like to have this is a time where Batman is acknowledged as a hero, a good guy, and is only a big scary threat exclusively to criminals and very super bad people. He is the protector, defender of Gotham, the Dark Knight, the Cape Crusader, the world's greatest detective. But even the normal citizens of Gotham kind of find Batman a bit intimidating, and they witness the technology that Batman can use, and they end up joining forces, and they're trying to come up with these multiple plans on what to do with Godzilla. Batman gets in touch with the Japanese army and the Global Defense Force on what to do with Godzilla, and eventually they come up with a plan to make another mecha kaiju. You could probably see where this is going, maybe. Batman will use his typical preparation technology, to fight the big boys in power level, or more powerful opponents in general, like Wonder Woman, Superman, and that stuff. The tough technology he uses, and Japan, the Global Defense Force, they're going to combine it with their mecha kaiju technology. Batman, Alfred, they're working on it as well, and the Global Defense Force is also working on it. Meanwhile, the Joker and the Penguin, they're having fun with Godzilla by making him destroy and even fight the military. And there are points where Godzilla is on his own, and I want to show that Godzilla is, the poor guy is sympathetical in this situation, even though he's destroying a lot of stuff. He's basically being used by the Penguin and the Joker, so it kind of makes you sympathize towards him, but then next thing you know, he's killing plenty of people, military men and that stuff. And eventually, like after like a good long while, with all the help they need, the Bat Mecha is finally created. I'll just call it, this may be a very generic name, typical cliche, but I'm going to call it the Mecha Bat. And at this point, the military is full, like the US and Japanese military, they're full on joining forces, like really trying to take on Godzilla, to no use of taking him down. And the Joker and the Penguin, they're really getting like the feel of victory, like they won. But however, that's not all. The Mecha Bat is finally created, and Batman got the time to train inside the mech suit. So, like, the Global Defense Force has this, like, gigantic, humongous training field somewhere to test their ultimate weapons and train in them. And Batman really trains hard in the Mecha Kaiju weapon, and obviously becomes a master of it very quickly. And one of the things that Batman find out about Godzilla is that he actually has a second brain in his rear area. Obviously a nod to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla from the Heisei era, when, you know, our Godzilla human characters end up finding out about that. And obviously they're going to use, you can kind of tell they're going to use that to their advantage. And Batman, he doesn't really need to do a whole lot inside the Mecha Kaiju. He, basically how it's set up, basically think of one of the Jagirs, basically a Jaeger from Pacific Rim. And that's how Batman, but it's like probably far more advanced because this is the Global Defense Force and, it's Batman's technology. Very physically tough. This mecha giant stands at like 87 meters tall, weighing in 50,000 tons, compared to Godzilla's 100 meter to roughly around 90,000 ton weight. You might be wondering, like, what the heck? That's Toho's Godzilla's weight here? Well, this is my imaginary crossover universe, so there you go. I would honestly have Godzilla that weight because, in my opinion, it's more kind of logical. Even though apparently somewhere they said that Godzilla at like 100 to 120 meters realistically and logically should weigh at a whopping 164,000 tons, but I want this to be more in line with like average Godzilla stuff, like Monsterverse and Toho weight calcs and that stuff. So that's how I want to roll, honestly. Batman also gets on his mission, and he realized that he just has this feeling that what if the Joker and the Penguin have something to do with this? Batman does his detective work, and finally he ends up finding out that the Joker and the Penguin are behind this. Batman gets prepared for an encounter. He tracks down the Penguin and the Joker, and just when the Penguin and the Joker are luring Godzilla towards Gotham City again, Batman takes out their goons, their henchmen. Batman came prepared. The Joker, he takes on both the Joker and the Penguin and manages to catch them both off guard. They calculated that Godzilla was going to come to Gotham, so they were already getting the Mecha Bat prepared for bats to control and fight Godzilla. Batman takes out the Penguin and the Joker, but they weren't going down so easily. They busted out some pretty powerful weaponry that they have in their hideout. However, Godzilla appears and he starts messing up Gotham again. And at this point, Godzilla just feels like it's another thing that the humans are messing with him, and like another plan that involves the humans. And that's why Godzilla, he's still destroying cities and stuff. He ends up getting attracted to the hideout building where Batman and Joker and Penguin are fighting at. And Godzilla actually senses that something is going on in that building, that very tall building, hideout building from the Joker and Penguin, and he actually gets a little curious and even investigates a bit and realize that there is a big, like, epic battle going on in there between Batman fighting the Penguin and the Joker. But they all notice that Godzilla is there, and basically they get that, oh shoot, like, he's there. Or like, we might all be dead. And the remaining henchmen of Joker and Penguin are trying to fend off against Godzilla, and Joker and Penguin's, like, traps that they have that Batman bypassed, and they were, like, basically the weaponry in the hideout building was being loaded onto Godzilla, trying to, like, blast him, but of course it just does nothing to him. Penguin and Joker even try to have a little standoff with Godzilla, and they try to blast him with their weaponry, and it just, of course, doesn't do anything. Batman gets out of dodge, and the Penguin and the Joker get out of dodge. They barely make it when Godzilla just destroys the building. Penguin tries to escape, but an explosion happens, and it sends the Penguin flying through the air, plummeting to his death. But, because Batman shows mercy to his villains, he saves the Penguin, but traps him. Penguin tries to fight back against Batman in this crazy time, and Batman just knocks him out. Joker tries to get away in one of his helicopters, but Godzilla actually swipes half of the helicopter with his hand. Batman sees that the Joker is going to plummet to his death as well. He also saved the Joker, and he actually knocks the Joker out as well. He makes his way to the army that's fighting, and they basically end up locking up the Penguin and the Joker, and they are taken away in this crazy time when Godzilla is wreaking havoc on Gotham City. Finally, the Batmecha arrives and is taken there. Batman gets inside the Batmecha, and he is in control of the Batmecha now. I don't want to have this in a cool fight scenario where this is taking place at a time, there's going to be plenty of rain throughout the days, and even thunder. This final battle, is going to take place in the rain and thunder at night. The storm really picks up, Godzilla gets prepared to fight the Batmecha, and you already kind of expect this a little bit, because it is another Mecha Kaiju, but it isn't your standard Mecha Kaiju that Godzilla normally fights. This Batmecha Kaiju that Batman's controlling inside the mech is powerful than any of the Global Defense Force's Mecha Kaiju that they created. This Batmecha Kaiju that Batman's controlling inside the mech itself is just destroying Godzilla. Like, he really wrecks Godzilla in the fight. And I want to have this interesting thing where the first match, Batman, got his butt handled by Godzilla. Big time. Didn't look like Batman stood that much of a chance. And, it looked like obviously he was going to lose. And he couldn't do nothing to Godzilla. Here, a little bit of the opposite. Godzilla can do some stuff still here and there. But now he is the one that's getting wrecked by Batman hardcore. And now Godzilla looks like the underdog this time in this final battle. Godzilla gets some good damaging hits here and there, but it's mostly throughout like 80 to 70% of the fight, Batman just wrecking Godzilla. He's punching the heck out of him. He's even kind of transferring his martial arts move to the mech, and the mech is like really physically strong and powerful. It is a Mecha Kaiju after all, and he even pulls off some maneuvers that Kiryu does in the Kiryu Saga films, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS. He even flips Godzilla. He does a judo flip like King Kong did to him in 1962. He flips him again, like Kuryu did in Tokyo SOS. He even swings him by his tail, and he even a couple points fights him in a similar style, like how Monster X kind of like was fighting Godzilla in Godzilla Final Wars, like how he like how it kind of looked like Monster X did a little bit of some Matrix moves on Godzilla. That's what Batman's doing here. Dude's performing some Ultraman type moves on Godzilla. He he even pulls off the moves that Jaguar actually does in Godzilla Save the Earth. And that's not all. The weaponry comes in. The Batmecha has the abilities of blasting missiles from its shoulders. Can do like a Kuryu type thing, blast some type of gun-like projectiles from its wrist, its arms, whatever. And like how Kuryu activates is drill in Godzilla Tokyo SOS, the Batmecha does something similar, although it's in the shape of batterings. The Batmecha's hands transform into batterings, and then he just starts slicing and cutting Godzilla up, but thanks to Godzilla's healing factor, he's able to heal up from that. Still does pretty bad critical damage to him, though, but he manages to heal up from it. That is one of Toho Godzilla's abilities, after all. But they still get the job done, like, doing well against Godzilla. You know how Batman has electrical gauntlets? He even transported that down to his mecha. And, like, now, the Batmecha's hands can even enter this electric mode and shock Godzilla. Obviously, like what King Kong did in 1962 with the lightning powers. Batman's shocking Godzilla, and he's also hitting him, like, with the electric gauntlet type fists. Batman even shows off his stealth ninja skill, and like Megaguirus and Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, Godzilla's like, where the heck did that son of a gun go? The Batmecha sneaks up on him and whacks him in the back of the head with like a kick. The Batmecha even emits this giant like smoke grenade, and smoke covers Gotham City. And Godzilla's like, where the heck is he? And Batman surprises him again and takes him by surprise and whips his butt again, hand to hand. The Batmecha even uses these bomb grenades. He attached him to Godzilla. He blows him up too. The bombs hurt Goji, obviously. And then Batman releases this bigger bomb on Godzilla, and then it just makes him fall to the ground. And the Batmecha has the ability of, like jet moves, like similar to Kuryu and Mechagodzilla from the Monsterverse, and he also uses this to his advantage. He beats Godzilla down using this, and obviously, the Batmecha has the ability of flight. Batman starts wrecking Godzilla from the air, and just whips poor Goji's aff. AFF. Because, like I said before, I'm one of those rare people that do not cuss or swear. And then he gives Godzilla such a massive beatdown, and Godzilla himself gets weakened, and Batman even picks him up from the air, lands one powerful punch to his face, and sends him flying to the ground. And the Batmecha flies down and crushes Godzilla. And the King of the Monsters is badly weakened, and he is kind of severely overmatched. Well, outmatched was what I meant to say, my bad. He's even looking like kind of severely outmatched by the Batmecha. And because the Japanese military and the Global Defense Force know about Godzilla's second brain, and Batman investigated, uh, himself. They even do the thing from the Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla Heisei movie where they have the painful weaponry that impales Godzilla. They, you know, inject it through Godzilla's skin, it makes him bleed, and then he starts trying to shock Godzilla's second brain to actually kill him and take him out. And, poor Goji, he can't do anything, and Batman unloads like all the weaponry on him, along shocking Godzilla's second brain, and he takes the King of the Monsters out. Yes, he defeats Godzilla. Batman wins against Godzilla. He takes Godzilla out, Godzilla's on the ground, and the King of the Monsters is defeated. And is soon going to be no more because Godzilla is paralyzed and they calculate that Godzilla is slowly dying. Like, Batman won. He defeated the King of the Monsters. That was the final battle, and the Dark Knight appears to have defeated the King of Kaiju. Batman does seem to have do one more final move to take out Godzilla. But however, the thunderstorm was picking up as their fight was going on. And the next thing you know, unexpectedly, the thunderstorm picks up even more, and before Batman can go in for some type of killing blow to take out the King of the Monsters, Godzilla's spikes absorb thunder and lightning. Return of Godzilla style, maybe, King Kong versus Godzilla style, with King Kong absorbing the thunder and lightning. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla style. This makes Batman stop in his tracks. It's like, whoa, what the heck? Godzilla's second brain gets healed. Godzilla recovers, and now Godzilla is juiced up on energy. And Godzilla seems to be surging with this electrical energy along with his radioactive energy, but it's like surging through his body, much like how we see in Godzilla King of the Monsters, how he looks all buffed up now. Godzilla even sends up some kind of nuclear pulse of some kind and electrocutes the Batmecha, which actually weakens its systems a bit. And in a cool bad butt moment, Godzilla grabs the wires that the Batmecha was trying to attach, trying to take out Godzilla's second brain. Godzilla grabs it and he swings the Batmecha, slamming it into buildings. Godzilla rips it out on the side of his rear area, his hip. And here's what I want to count as round 3. The first round, Batman didn't look like he didn't stand that much of a chance. Second round, Godzilla looked like he didn't stand that much of a chance. And now, round 3, this is like the tiebreaker match. The storm picks up, and then they end up fighting each other. Godzilla gets a bit of the upper hand this time, and he starts taking Batman by surprise, but Batman ain't backing away. Batman is picking up one heck of a good fight. Godzilla is still having a very tough time, but so is Batman. Now it kind of looks like they appear to be, pretty equally matched. The battle goes on for longer, and more destruction is caused to Gotham City. Batman is upset about this, and he wants to come up with a plan to take Godzilla out, but it's a bit risky. Batman has this plan to take Godzilla to the stratosphere and drop him. Obviously, a nod to Godzilla King of the Monsters, the final battle with Ghidorah in Boston. They end up kind of taking the fight to the water, in the Batmecha, it's built to fight Godzilla, so in the water, so Batman picks up a good fight underwater, but Godzilla gets a bit of the upper hand still. The Batman gets the Batmecha systems controlling a bit better again, and Batman acts out his plan. He finally grabs Godzilla and takes him up to the sky. In this really cool shot, there's nothing but like clouds and a lot of thunder. The cool shots of Godzilla and Batman, flying up together. Batman, hits the boost and he flies up even faster towards the stratosphere. And Batman made sure to take Godzilla a pretty good distance, a bit far into the ocean away from Gotham, because he knows the impact is going to be destructive. Uh-oh, what's this? It was kind of a problem, Batman worried. Godzilla is absorbing the thunder and lightning a bit on his way up to the stratosphere, along with the Batmecha. They're right there where the thunder is, and finally, Batman makes it to the stratosphere. But Batman, it's almost like he came up with a plan B in his mind if he wasn't gonna make it. Right when Batman makes it close, he gets ready to throw Godzilla, but Godzilla busts out the electric breath. Pretty much kind of like the super breath we see in GMK, when Godzilla absorbed King Ghidorah's gravity beams. And then Batman presses some escape button, emergency button, and then Godzilla blows the Batmecha up. Both Godzilla and the Batmecha fall from the stratosphere, and then, they both look like a burning meteorite together, and then they crash into the ocean. Another big explosion. And, a big impact happened, a big destructive impact happened in the ocean. It also affected the land. It even affected the land somewhat. And then it appears that both Batman and Godzilla seem to have perished. But wait, what's this? Godzilla is calculated in the water, and he lets out one last victory roar, and then, weakened, he swims away. Seemingly won the battle. But however, they spot some type of technological pod, escape type pod thing on the, near the water, in the Gotham docks. And they calculated, and it appears that Batman survived. Bruce makes it back to Alfred, but now he's even more injured and beaten up. Godzilla, he makes his way back to the ocean of Japan, and then he rests from his battle with the Batmecha. Bruce Wayne / Batman also rests and recovers. The Joker and Penguin are taken back to Arkham Asylum, and humanity living in New Jersey is trying to get Gotham back into shape after what happened. So that's Batman versus Godzilla. Obviously, very cool, because this type of movie was originally supposed to happen. So it's just mind-blowing, but that was originally going to happen in the 60s, the Showa era of Godzilla, and along with the 60s Adam West Batman. But I would like to see this as an animated movie. Obviously, serious but fun and entertaining. And also, officially, Batman is now finally getting to fight Godzilla, officially in a comic book. But it's Godzilla and King Kong fighting the Justice League. This is just for Batman and Godzilla solo, 1v1. So, that was Batman vs. Godzilla. Let me know down in the comment section below, what do you think of this fan story? If you liked the video, don't be shy, go ahead, leave a like, and if you like the content I do on my channel, don't be shy. Be sure to subscribe. And as good old Kong Spideyzilla says, peace out.